fan of Lifetime, it's kind of like a Ryan Murphy. It's like they like to use the same group of people as great. I mean, it's all more power to them.
100% like that. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is like, I know that Luke McFarlane is, I guess he's more with Hallmark, and they might, I'm like, but Luke, if you want to, come over to our side, let's do a movie. So
How did this book save your life? I mean, I read it, like I know, about like, your addictions and like when you were
yeah,
hospitalized and just everything and your whole coming out story and like what the industry tried to do. And but like how did it save your life? It just, and I know about like your personal like loss and I mean
yeah,
just just the process of kind of letting it all out.
yeah. It was so, I got into a part in my life, or to a point in my life where I I lost that, like, I find myself still to this day, um I miss that kid who was, and I know it's like, not a lot of people um, look down on young, like, teenagers going out and things like that. But my childhood was a lot different than how I live now. I was 14 working in a gay bar called Big Daddy's. I was, you know, stealing IDs, and I was doing a lot of things that you shouldn't do. I didn't have an outlet. And so I, I felt like an intruder in my own body and in my own life. And then so writing this and getting to tell a story that really is word for word my story. I needed to do that because I was starting to not know who I was anymore. I was like, oh, I guess I'll just do the step and repeat and just say what people want me to say. And I guess I'll just fall in line and try not to ruffle any feathers. And then I was like, that's not me. I'm not trying to ruffle feathers. I'm just I'm trying to try to be treated the same as everybody else. And I'm also just trying to be a voice for people who feel like they don't have one. And so it saved my life in a way that I got to like get back to me. Like I didn't have to just continue to just be this fabricated vessel of a human. And so that's why when I found my love for writing again, which I had just given up because I felt like no one actually ever wanted to hear me speak or hear my thoughts. They just wanted to see me with my shirt off or modeling. And so I I know those people didn't read my book, but the people who did actually know my heart and my soul. And so that was special for me to not have to continue to play a character 24/7. So
Where are you in your journey of like, self-acceptance and, I mean, it's a continual process, right? I know you talk about
yeah,
like social media is a big part of it, of course.
yeah, it's a daily process. I've been, I've been being in therapy for over a decade, is something that has been so beneficial. It's also, um, it when you're in the public eye, you can't sometimes give everything, and I think that that's something that is a bit surprising to people. They're like, how come you say things like that? I'm like, because that's real. Like, I know that this, like, we don't know each other, but I still feel like I'm talking to a real person. I know that, we're here talking about projects, but I I still, and now I'm like forgetting the question. I'm like, what? Yeah, it
I
was
like
really
forgot it for
important.
a second there too.
Yeah, I tend to do this thing where I don't answer the question at all. I just talk for a mile a minute. But yeah, this book really was so special for me.
Just like at your journey in self-acceptance. And yeah, we're having like a real conversation, about that's I like to do a full 360 chat with someone, even though we're here for Lifetime and this amazing movie.
Yeah.
Did this like, like I said, I started by saying I'm a jaded New Yorker, and like, I mean, did this make you like more non-trusting in the dating world? I mean, these characters.
I I don't, dating is not, I don't know if I'll ever date again. I genuinely, I think I'm better alone. And I tell people, I had a whole knockdown drag out with a close friend the other day. They were like, "You're not saying that. You're gonna find someone. You're gonna fall in love." And I was like, "I, you're codependent. I'm not codependent. I like being alone, and I don't require another person." And then they were like, you're being defensive. I was like, I'm not being defensive. I've had relationships before. I'm not the best version of myself in a relationship. And I'm not looking for one. And my friend could not understand the idea of someone being alone. And I was like, oh, because you've never been alone. And you're insane. You go crazy when you are alone. That's not me. And so I'm happier than I've ever been. I don't have to smell morning breath. I don't have to meet friends I don't want to meet. I don't have to talk to family members I don't want to talk to. And that sounds great. I'm like, oh gosh, yeah. So I am for as long as I can foresee, single and just God, so happy about it. So happy about it.
You have no idea. I agree with every single thing you just said, 100%. People literally think it's like a defense mechanism.
No,
It's none of
no.
that. You're like, I'm not the best version of myself in a relationship either. Like, I truly, truly, I promise you, I don't need to convince you. I am choosing this. I promise
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've gotten to the point where I'm so tired of trying to convince people that it's not, it's a defense mechanism that I just straight up, I'm like, I'm not a code. I get a bit like, no. I'm not saying this. I'm in therapy, you're not. So yeah, it's just, dating is not my, not my speed at all.
And listen, I get it. And you truly just think like you might never date again.
It's not, if that never happens again, I think it would be a beautiful life. Yeah.
I get it. I get it.
No drama, no, I'm not hit. It works for people. People love it. When you know how to do it and you've got a good thing going and you trust someone, I'm all about it. But I just don't require it. And I'm happier. So
Right. And go you when it's like the right person and you're being treated right, like not like the Swindler Seduction or any of these other things. Because you look at people like, look, I don't know everything, right? You don't know everything. But it's clear that so many relationships you look at, you're like, man, I wouldn't put up with 99.9% of that. How is that better? So I totally get it. Right.
yeah, I definitely, yeah. The unfortunately, I think there's a lot more people who might be like the swindler, like my characters in Swindler Seduction than not, especially with the way the world's going right now. So yeah, I take a pass.
I'm going to take a pass. Is
Yeah.
there any part of this business that you haven't done? Modeling, you wrote a book, now you're in the Lifetime family, you've done all these work. Like, is there anything that you kind of is still on the top of your list that you want to try in the entertainment business?
Oh my gosh, what could there be? I'm doing something now that has to do with writing that is like the hardest. I mean, harder than writing the book.
I
Such
don't
a
know how that's
stressful.
possible, but go on.
Yeah, just doing like development. And I during the first year of the pandemic, I sold a show with Alana Glazer and Elliot, her brother Elliot Glazer, and we sold it to Peacock. It didn't end up getting made, but the process of selling shows and now I'm writing, it's just like part of the time I'm like, why did I do this? But it's more fulfilling for me to do this because I'm getting to it's just so fun to like create things. So there's that. But I think also like I love Judd Apatow. Like I love comedy, and I got to do one with Paul Downs and Lucia Aniello, who did Hacks, and that movie for Rough Night, and that was the most incredible experience to be on a comedy set and to get to play around with people who are just iconic comedians. And that, so yeah, working for doing a Judd Apatow film. I don't know, trying to finish school, which is a nightmare when you're doing that while working. I don't know. I'm never going to sleep again. It's, yeah.
That's why you drink Red Bull, like we were talking about before we went on the air.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. I need to sleep, but I don't like sleeping. So
Two final questions as we wrap up. Do you have any, like, what are your, like you said, like you don't watch a lot of TV or movies, like what are your guilty pleasures? Like, are you into like all the reality TV? Did you ever go down that, like, how, no, you're saying no.
I that is something, because it's not reality, it's scripted. And so I'm like, look, I have friends who are in a couple friends who are in those big kind of shows, and I I can't even go to a comedy show because if someone's bombing, I feel like I'm bombing. If I'm watching a reality show, it makes me so uncomfortable. I wish I could be a person. I love that everyone loves reality shows because they are like juicy. I I I get uncomfortable. I just can't watch them. I love, I love um I haven't watched all of them, but like I'll love watching like Drag Race or things like that. But I think my guilty pleasures are like, which this group should at this point have a restraining order against me. Blackpink. I love watching K-pop on YouTube, and I just love watching like 8-minute videos of like HGTV on YouTube because then it can keep my attention span because I clearly have none. And yeah, so my guilty pleasures are that, and also like I don't know, gardening and just redoing the rooms in my house and thinking I know what I'm doing and I don't. And so one day there'll be a hole in the wall because I'm doing renovations. And then I realize that hole's been there for 3 months. So yeah, those are my guilty pleasures.
Those are all fun, and like, hopefully some sleep soon. And then as we wrap up, what about, would you ever write, you call this a memoir, but like you said, you're 35. There's so much more of your life, you'll be living. Like, can you see yourself writing like the next chapter of your, of just another book at some point?
Oh my God. I could have written, well, with the pages that I turned in for the book, there could have been three. But I tend to be like a lawsuit magnet. The amount of times that people have tried to silence me is pretty crazy to think about. So I had to cut a lot of it out because I don't need another lawsuit. But yeah, this book could have been a lot different. I'm happy the way it turned out because yeah, I got to focus more on myself than other people, and that was really great. Who knows in the future? I'm going to need some help I'm going to need some help doing the next one because this was so difficult, but it is the best thing that I've ever done.